What's next in this case against the officers known as the Danziger 7? We're joined now by former federal prosecutor Harry Rosenberg and former prosecutor and now defense attorney Chick Foray. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate your time. We'll start with you, Chick. Tell us what this means going forward for these other officers.
From the reading of the Bill of Information, it's clear to me that there are going to be further indictments forthcoming. Certainly what's referred to or who's referred to in the indictment as the investigator, Sergeant A, Sergeant B, folks who manipulated the reports are those that may well be indicted very shortly.
Harry, where do you see this going from here in regard to where these other officers stand? How deep beyond them could this go in the police department?
Well, remember, this is just one part of the investigation that the Civil Rights Division, the U.S. Attorney's Office, together with the FBI agents are looking at. There are multiple other civil rights investigations that we know are ongoing. But this one in particular, I think, is exactly what Chick alluded to a moment ago. We know about target letters that were sent out last week. Now we've seen a plea of guilty by Lohman. The momentum is building. They've identified sergeants and other investigators who were part, according to this charge, which Lohman testified to in federal court today, was true, that people conspired to fabricate reports. So I think that's exactly the direction that the government is looking in, other people who were involved in this alleged conspiracy.
And when you hear words like civil rights violations, does this, for the victims' families, does this open up them, Chick? Does the city open up itself for litigation going forward?
Certainly, one of the remedies is in civil litigation, absolutely. But if we look at this whole set of facts, Scott, what this is about is, was the shootings that took place on the Danziger Bridge in early September, right after Katrina, were those shootings justified? This Bill of Information says that the facts that were investigated by these folks were manipulated in such a way that no one was able to learn whether or not those shootings were justified. So they arrived on the scene from Jump Street. Lohman arrives on the scene, he takes control, and he manipulates the investigation in such a way that early on no one knew whether the shootings were justified.
And you see this video that we've been showing, this exclusive NBC video from the bridge, that you can hear the hail of gunfire off in the distance. Is that pretty damning evidence in this case that is anything based on what we see there justified with that much gunfire? I mean, it is a firefight on the streets of a major U.S. city, even though it is post-Katrina. Is that justified?
Well, look, I want to say two things. First of all, this was a tremendous coup for the government to get Lohman to come in, testify, cooperate with them, and he's going to be a cooperating witness. And they've got someone from the inside who wore a badge just days ago who will be a cooperating witness. But remember, all these incidents took place in the aftermath of Katrina, and we're going to hear another take from these officers who may get charged about what it was like to be shot at, what was happening in the city at the time. I mean, there's another story. These officers haven't yet been charged, but I think we're going to hear an explanation from them that's entirely different from what Lohman said, number one. And two, remember, it's almost a heightened standard, not necessarily legally, but practically speaking, Scott, when officers are charged, law enforcement officers are charged, and the jury's asked to send them to jail.
Scott, what we know clearly today is, based upon this
bill, 10 seconds left.
This Bill of Information, the cover-up may well clearly be worse than the event. We don't know what the event was like because that has to be explored, and as we know, was not properly investigated. But we know the cover-up was not good, and it's a sad day for the city of New Orleans that the cover-up appears to have clouded the event that took place on the Danziger Bridge.
Interesting to watch it unfold. Chick Foray, Rosenberg.
Close enough.
Thank you very much, both of you,
Pleasure.
for coming in this afternoon.